Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video that I'm super excited about doing. It is going to be about my pageant story. Basically me talking about my story and my own personal journey with pageants from beginning to end. And then at the end I will be concluding with just how to go into pageants if you're interested in that kind of thing. I get a lot of girls asking me a lot of questions, so hopefully this kind of answers some things. So let's get started. So I was about 7 or 8 years old when I found out what pageants were. I think I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade, and I was super in love with the TV show Toddlers and Tiaras. That was super big on TLC when I was growing up. And then I also would see posters for local pageants for my city, which I live in, which I grew up in Temecula, and I had basically connected the two together, like Toddlers and Tiaras and then like a local pageant in Temecula, and I was like, yes, that is what I want to do. And little to say, my parents were not super down for that. They didn't really believe in pageants. I had done dance up until that point. Eventually I went into musical theater, but pageants weren't really something that my parents wanted me doing. They didn't want me exposed to the world of big Hollywood, commercials, TV, modeling, all that stuff, which is kind of ironic when I look at my life now. So my childhood did not consist of any pageants until I was 15 years old. I decided to compete in my first pageant. So the story of how that went was I was 15 years old and I went to prom as a freshman, and I was searching for a prom dress, and I got like an $80 dark navy blue gown from Windsor, and I ended up not wearing that to prom because I wore it for the pageant I competed in. So I had saw a advertisement for the local Miss City of Temecula pageant the same day I bought my prom dress. And this thought that I had been thinking my entire childhood came back to me, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I have a dress. I'm like, I just gotta get my entry fee covered. No problem. Pageants in 2 weeks. I got this. If I was to ever do that now, I'd be freaking crazy, because I don't think I would ever enter a pageant in 2 weeks, let alone with a Windsor prom gown. But you know, you live and you learn. So I was super motivated to do that. With the support of my amazing grandparents, I actually was able to afford to enter the pageant. My mom agreed once my grandparents and my mom had talked about it. Eventually my mom talked to my dad, and the ball was basically rolling within a couple of days. And then I signed up for the pageant, and it was super exciting. I was super pumped up. I was totally convinced I was gonna win. I was like, I got this. This has been my dream forever. So yeah, I was just super excited to compete. I went to a bunch of different workshops and rehearsals leading up to the pageant. I think we had 2 rehearsals and then a workshop about like how to have a good interview or how to have a good walk. And then like we went over just like the logistics, like the opening number and what we're gonna wear and all that stuff. I remember my first pageant like the back of my hand. I wore all black during my interview, which is basically a no, especially because I was so young. I was 15. And I wore a dark navy blue prom gown for evening wear. And I didn't wear any fake eyelashes. I didn't wear any earrings. I had no jewelry on whatsoever. I was in my simplest form possible, but I was so excited. There were a lot of things that I look back on and I wish I could have fixed, but I think there's a first time for everything, and my first pageant was exactly that. It was my first try. It was my first time to make mistakes. I've definitely grown immensely from my first pageant. I enjoyed it overall, and I made amazing friends, and I did end up winning. So here are some pictures from my first pageant. So those are some pictures of me from my first pageant. that was me when I was crowned, and I was super excited. And then I will also include some pictures right here of me when I was out and about doing my community service. My first title was Young Miss City of Temecula 2015. So here are some pictures of me doing my job as a title holder for that first year, and here they are. So yeah, that was my first title. I was super pumped up about that. So basically after that, I began doing all kinds of pageants. I did some local pageants, I did some regional pageants. I ended up being crowned Young Miss Inland California after that at the regional pageant for my city pageant, which was super cool. That was basically like the top tier level for that regional pageant. So I was super proud of myself for that. I also did local pageants, so I did like natural glitz pageants, but for girls my age, like we're still wearing fake eyelashes, we still have fake tans, we have all that stuff, like we're still wearing pretty expensive stuff because there's really no difference between like glitz and natural when you get to my age. So I was doing some locals, and I always had won my division. That was really fun. Those were just ways for me to just have fun in the aspects of pageantry that are on the stage, not really so for like a title where you're actually competing to represent your community, and you're going and doing networking opportunities, and you're doing a plethora of things to support a platform or a charity that's near and dear to your heart. So those are the difference between like a local kind of like a glitz natural pageant and then like the actual locals or regionals or states that go to the big titles or that go towards something. After all that, I wanted to do a state pageant so badly. So I had actually signed up, gotten sponsors, gotten letters of recommendation, the whole 9 yards to do NAMM California 2016. All my paperwork was in. I was training with Brittany Wagner, who was my coach at the time. I had bought a new dress from Preview, and I was really going all out for this state pageant because I wanted my best foot forward in the door. And unfortunately, for those of you who know what happened during 2016, so 2 weeks before the pageant, 2 weeks before the pageant, I broke my leg, my left leg, and then 2 weeks after that, the exact same weekend of NAMM California, I was in ICU with my blood clot in my leg as well as my pulmonary embolisms. So NAMM California didn't work out. I was actually planning to attend the pageant and be in the audience as a spectator after I had broken my leg because I had decided to withdraw myself from the competition, but I wanted to be in support of the women who were going to be there. And that never happened for me. So I'm a big believer in that things happen for a reason, and that was a crazy time in my life, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. But at the same time, having my blood clot gave me something to speak about and be proud of and really have emotions invested into some platform that I would like to represent. So that is where Stop the Clot through the National Blood Clot Alliance comes from. That is the nonprofit that I donate the most time and money to, and it is also the nonprofit that I represent as my personal platform when I compete. I have done so since my clot, and I don't think I will ever stop doing so because that was such a life-changing part of my life that entire summer, that entire time I was hospitalized. And there will be a video that I will do later kind of detailing what had happened to me when I was in the hospital. but that was a real game changer for me in the face of pageantry. I was definitely considering not competing again, especially because I had pulled out and withdrew from NAMM California in 2016, but I did keep going, and I decided to commit myself to a state pageant. So I decided to commit myself to California International 2017 because the current teen title holder had actually come and visited me while I was in the hospital, and she had made a very large impact on me. Her and her mom came and visited me when I was in the normal ward of HEMOC at Rady Children's, and just talking to her and hearing her own story about her own health journey throughout her life and being inspired to keep competing kind of drove me to compete for her title that next year. So I prepared myself like no other, and I will actually include right here some pictures of me preparing for that, because I was doing a billion things at once. I was doing club stuff, I was doing ASB stuff, I was doing charity stuff, I was doing community service on the side, I was working out twice a day. Like, I was going hard for that pageant, but it definitely taught me a lot about self-discipline. So here are some pictures from that time in my life. So those are some of the pictures of me as I prepared for this state pageant. I did not win that pageant. I did come out meeting a lot of friends. I had a huge opportunity to be working with girls from all over the state. I met girls who had competed at the USA level, who had never competed, who were super sweet, women of all age, honestly. The girls, I believe, ranged from age 13 to age 26 or 27, but that, excuse me if I'm wrong on that. And I had an amazing time. Here are some pictures of me from the actual pageant. These are actually some of my favorite pictures of me from a pageant, just because I had worked so hard for that body that I represented on stage. Like, I had worked so hard. So here are some pictures. So those are some pictures of me from when I competed. I did win Director's Choice Award, which was super cool. So I did walk away with an award for that pageant, and I was just super happy. I came out of it super motivated. After, in that August, I competed for Miss Teen Inland Empire USA, which was a USA pageant. I competed against 10 girls, and I won first runner-up to that pageant. It was my first USA pageant, so I was feeling super good. 2017 was a really good year for me as far as competing. I didn't know where I wanted to go in 2018. I was still kind of all over the place. I competed in California Collegiate that year as well. That was my first Miss pageant. I did not place in that pageant, but again, just the experiences that I was getting, the friends that I was making. I'm gonna include some of those pictures right here too. Here's just some pictures of some of the friends that I had made over the years in pageantry through the year 2017. So yeah, the friendship is a huge part of pageantry. It's the reason why I did it. It's the reason why I still do it. It's the reason why I'm still involved. So friendship is everywhere in pageantry. It's not at all like the TV shows make it out to be, or the movies, or even how society kind of frames like beauty pageants or like beauty queens. And I feel like they're really hard stereotypes for the kind of people that we are not. So yeah, lots of friendships came out of that. In 2018, I competed at UNM California, where I also won first runner-up to the California title. And then I also competed in California International. So some of the people that I just want to take a moment and thank, who are kind of responsible for who I am today. My first pageant coach, Brittany Wagner, she definitely pushed me hard, still pushes me hard, and I think she is responsible for a huge part of the young women I've turned into. Also Karen Knutson and Shaylin, they are just phenomenal people. They were my coaches for a good part of 2018 when I went into UNM California as well as California International 2018. I did not place at California International 2018. I did win photogenic though, and thanks to Kara for my amazing hair and makeup at both of those pageants, as well as Shaylin's direction for the vision, and for always encouraging me. I think that they both do a phenomenal job and have been responsible for who I am today. Hot Shot Photography by Shayna Owens. That also is where my glam shots come from. Those are phenomenal. I'll include a picture of one of my glam shots right here. So those are some of the people that have really had a big influence on who I am as a person today and who I am as a competitor. And so that's like the basics of my own pageant story. I did want to talk a little bit about how I got into Jovani It Girl because of pageantry and why I believe that I was actually successful in being a finalist. So Jovani It Girl, as I stated in my Jovani YouTube video, and I will actually post that down below in the description. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. But I had applied for 3 years to be a Jovani It Girl and to go to Atlanta and model for them at Market. And I don't think I would have had the confidence or the walk or the talk or any component that goes into modeling for Jovani without my experience and my training in pageantry. So the doors that pageantry has opened up for me are endless, and they still continue to open today. I've made amazing relationships with small business owners, and I've been able to work with incredible national and worldwide charities, all because of who I know and who I've met through pageantry. So there is a never closing door to pageantry, and I believe that the age range is kind of unlimited as well. And just from my own personal experience, I've had a lot of luck in making friends and making connections, and I've used my people skills to my advantage. And I do believe that my pageant skills and my pageant training got me to being a semi-finalist for Jovani It Girl, but not only that, is a finalist who went to New York. So big shout out to pageantry for who I am today and who I strive to be tomorrow. So to any young women who are thinking about doing pageantry, who have questions about doing pageantry, who maybe are scared to do pageants, my biggest piece of advice is go for it, because there is no chance unless you take one. I think that pageants can open a door for all types of young women. For me, it wasn't necessarily the stepping stones to my confidence, nor was it my stepping stones to my communication skills, but it definitely heightened all of those things for me. For me, what it did was it transformed my business savvy side, my networking side, the way that I talk to individuals, how I make friends, how I work for charities. But I believe that pageants have the opportunity to open doors for any young women in the way that you want them to. And it's not going to work unless you work towards it, and you're not going to get better unless you put the time in. And I have definitely learned that throughout my years of pageantry. So I definitely recommend just jumping headfirst into a local pageant or even a regional pageant. If you're feeling into it and you want to put in the work, even a state pageant. I know girls who have gone into state pageants and won. So give it your best foot forward. Don't knock it till you try it. And just there is no chance unless you take one. Alright, you guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and staying with me. Personally, my pageant story is not over yet. I don't know when my next competition will be. I will be competing in 2019. I just don't know when yet. Probably in the fall. I don't know which company, I don't know for what title, I don't know for what directors, who will I be wearing? These are all questions that kind of are up in the air. It's my goal. I haven't not competed in a pageant since the year 2015, and I don't want this year to be any different. So with that being said, stay tuned and follow me on my pageant journey. Follow me on all my social media if you don't already. That will be linked down in the description as well. If you like this video and found it interesting and informative, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment down below what you want to see next time, and I'll talk to you guys later.